Am I the idiot for not charging my nephew rent after he moved in with me and my family? So I, male 44, have an older sister Miriam, female 47, and she has a son Javid, male 18, with her husband Joe, 51M. My wife and I have 2 daughters, one 15 and the other 12, and no sons. My daughters love Javid like their big brother, and in our culture, he isn't their cousin but is their brother. My wife loves Javid like her own son. When I broach having a baby to give our kids a brother, she'd point out they have him as a brother. She got me thinking that way too, as I love my sister and Javid is a good boy, but I do know he isn't my son, even if I love him like one. The point of contention is this: in September Javid started university, and his parents evicted him and made him take out loans because he's 18 now. This was odd to me, since my parents never did any of that. But their house rules. As my sister explained to me, this is what Joe's father did with him, and he thinks it'll work because it has for him. Javid moved out to a place where he could pay low rent while also working as much as he could. He bombed all his midterms. So he came crying to my wife and I. I didn't want to take him in because that might ruin the relationship with my sister, which has been rocky, but my wife pointed out how much he was struggling and I agreed. We are not going to make him pay rent, as if I wouldn't ask that of my kids, I'm not going to ask it of him. We make him do chores like cleaning, watching our girls, getting groceries, on our cash, and work a much lighter scheduler part-time job to focus on those loans and a tutor. In the weeks he has been here, he seems readier for his finals, but damage to his grades may already be done. My sister came over yesterday with Joe. They knew Javid was here. I didn't hide that from them. But they assumed that he was paying rent. After asking him how much I charge, I admitted I don't, and Joe got all angry and told me I was undermining his authority. I pointed out my parents never charged me rent, and I wouldn't charge my kids rent, and I'm not going to treat Javid differently if he lives in my house. They left after that, and I got a text from Miriam saying that she and Joe weren't going to come over until I enforced their rules for Javid. I feel like an idiot because I do love my sister and I don't want to cause her difficulties. But I don't want Javid to go down the wrong path, since what was happening before was not working for him. Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot. It's your home, you make the rules. They also don't have authority over your nephew since he is an adult, and they made that clear by kicking him out once he turned 18. They don't get to kick him out and dictate how he moves forward. For whatever reason, your brother-in-law is hell-bent on making sure his son struggles and has a rough start in life. Maybe he believes it'll help him build character, who knows? Or maybe they don't want to look like bad parents since you're helping him, and they're not. Regardless, you're doing the right thing by helping your nephew so he doesn't fall behind. Comment 2. Not the idiot. The only AH in the story is Joe. College in the 80s was a bargain compared to now, and rent as well as buying a place was easy. You show empathy and compassion towards a struggling teen where the parents can't be bothered to step up. Next post will be from your sister in the parenting subreddit titles. Why won't my son talk to me anymore? Now for the update. So, it's been a little bit, and everything has gone crazy, but first I want to thank all of you for convincing me I did the right thing. I stuck to my guns and my wife, and I told Javid we see him as our son, and this was his grandfather's and mother's house, it will always be his too. He passed his classes, but the damage was done, and he has a poop GPA. As for his loans, thankfully TD was fair to him, so it was a no-brainer to help him pay it all off. This semester is going much better, and I have no doubt his grades will improve. Here's where it all gets a bit wackier, because a few days after I did that I got a call from Miriam. Met her at Tim Hortons, and it turns out she and Joe had a big fight after they left my home, and now she's divorced. Turns out that it's been bad for them since the pandemic started, and got worse ever since they evicted Javid, and this united front was a sham. To her it's been like they've been divorced for 2 years already. She told me she reconnected with Amir, who lived next to us for a few years when he was a teenager, and they became great friends, but Joe was mistrustful cause he's a decade younger than her, and a good-looking guy. The big thing was Joe refusing to get vaccinated even though he says he's liberal. She's a researcher and Javid has freaking asthma. I'm guessing divorce sent Joe off the deep end cause he's going to Ontario to join the convo. Well, I went with Miriam to his house, got everything and moved her back into our home. Honestly, Miriam has been the happiest I've seen her in a very long time. Amir asked her out after New Year's and they started dating, so I guess all Joe feared had come to pass. It's weird cause I still remember him as a teen, but I do have to admit he's a successful guy who makes her happy, and like she said, her marriage was done for a while. He seems to really love her. My daughters love having Miriam around. My eldest keeps asking her for tutoring in bio, and youngest clings to her and is learning knitting from her. It was a bit awkward for Javid at first, but Miriam said sorry to him so much when she came back. She wouldn't stop hugging and kissing him while crying, so of course he forgave her. What son wouldn't? I will admit she has been spoiling and babying him since then. Or trying to. And says sorry to him every day even though he says she doesn't need to, and keeps promising to make things up to him. The big news is that my wife is pregnant even though we used protection. I don't know if I have a son or a princess coming, but I know my child will have a full family waiting, a father, mother, and 2 amazing sisters and the best big brother possible. We decided we'll all take a set of family photos during Javid's reading break and then another set next year once the baby's a bit older. Comment 1. Well, that took an unexpected turn. I'm glad his mother came around and Javid is turning his grades around. If he has room in his schedule, some schools let you retake classes and your new grade will replace the old one. Perhaps he can speak to someone at the school in case he is worrying too much about this GPA. Comment 2. You're the idiot. Are you kidding me? This update is just a train wreck from start to finish. First of all, you openly admit to being an enabler by not charging your nephew rent and treating him like a member of your immediate family. You are completely undermining his parents' authority and setting a terrible example. It's their responsibility to teach him about the real world and the importance of financial independence, not yours. And now you're telling us that your sister got a divorce and moved in with you. What kind of chaotic household are you running? It's clear that you have no boundaries and are inviting all sorts of drama into your home. You should have considered the impact this would have on your own family, and the dynamics between your daughters and their cousin-turned-brother. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for choosing my future husband's daughter over my niece? I, female 46, am marrying my fiancé, 50M. He has a daughter Davina, female 18, from his previous marriage. I don't have any children nor do I want any. I have been with him for 11 years now. Davina and I are close. I love her like a daughter. My sister, female 45, has a daughter Jess, 18F. Now, it should be noted that Davina is an only child. She doesn't have any step or half siblings on her mother's side as well. This will be important later. Davina and Jess used to be friends. They go to the same school, but when they got to high school they grew apart. Davina became popular. She made a lot of friends. Jess is introverted. She didn't like being in the crowd, so she just stopped associating with her. She started making up excuses when Davina would ask her to hang out, just the two of them. My sister is a single mom. I would sometimes help her with Jess when she was little. She would come over to my place at times before she got into high school, but ever since she started avoiding Davina, she doesn't come over unless necessary. I have spoken to both Jess and Davina multiple times and both have confirmed there is no bullying. When I got engaged, Jess asked me if she could have a part in the wedding. I said sure. Now I have asked Davina to be a MOH and Jess to be a bridesmaid. Jess wasn't happy Davina was getting a more important role. Jess asked me to not give Davina a role at all, that she should be a regular guest. I said no. Sister called and asked the same thing. I said no to her as well. When I asked them why, their reply was literally, I don't like her. A few weeks ago, Dee and I ran into them at the mall. Davina was attempting to make small talk with Jess, but she just snapped at her. When Davina said, sorry, I didn't know you were in a bad mood. My sister snapped at me about how Davina is being spoilt as an only child, how she abandoned Jess once she got her flashy friends, how I am enabling Davina to let Jess continue live in Davina's shadow, about how fake I am when I speak to Dee's mom when I meet her at school games. She said this was harming Jess's mental health. At this point, Davina excused herself and called her mom to pick her up. Sis said if I continue having a relationship with Davina, she and Jess will no longer want a relationship with me. When I reminded her that she would be my stepdaughter soon, she said she wants me to be civil with her and not try to be her second mom. She said it was time I returned to our family instead of a random teenager. I said she and Jess were my family, but I also chose Davina to be my family when I chose to be with my fiancé. Jess started crying. People started staring, so we just left. I don't know what sis told everyone, but now a lot of family members have blocked me. My parents and fiancé are on my side, but Davina has started spending more time at her mom's. Have I been unknowingly cruel to Jess? Should I take some time to just focus on Jess? Am I the idiot? Edit, spoke to mom who spoke to sis. We'll be meeting sis after work. Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot. You are 100% doing the right thing by your husband and soon-to-be stepdaughter. I commend your actions. Your sister is obviously not getting the truth from Jess. I mean, did she seriously think you wouldn't have your stepdaughter be involved in her own father's wedding? Sit your sister down without Jess and find out if she knows the whole story. Comment 2, not the idiot. You will be married to Davina's father, and you will be her stepmother. You have to put her first. Jess isn't your child. But something is going on. Your sister and Jess haven't told you everything. I would have a talk with your sister and find out exactly why. Tell her you can't possibly agree to something so asinine unless you know why, and this is a big thing she is expecting of you. If she can't come clean with you, no contact. Hating someone because they're popular is the same as hating someone because they're not. Now for the update. Thanks to everyone who told me to speak to my sister. I called my mom a few hours after I posted original I spoke to my sister 2 days ago. Apparently the issue between the girls was a boy. Yes, a boy. Jess liked him during freshman year, but he didn't like her back. Junior year he starts going out with Davina, and they are still together. Jess asked Dee to break up with him without giving her a reason to do so, and got upset when she didn't. Seeing Jess upset, sister also asked Davina to break up with him one day after showing up where Davina works. Yes, she cornered a kid during her work. Davina laughed in her face and said no. Other than that, she herself admitted Dee has done nothing to them. And those of you who said she wanted money, you were also right. My sister and Jess were under the impression that I would offer to pay for Jess's college. I was surprised when I asked why. Her response was, "Because we are family and you are helping with a random person's college. I am only paying for Davina's books. My fiancé and Dee's mom are paying for everything else because she is not eligible for a scholarship because parents have a higher income." At this point I was angry and told her I would have offered to pay for Jess's books as well, but now I am not giving her a penny. Sis looked horrified, but I left before she could say anything. Later someone added me to group chat with family members who had earlier blocked me. They said I had strayed from my family and I should come back to them. That I can make it up to them by fully paying for Jess and her brother's college. I left the chat and blocked them all. Won't be talking to them anytime soon. Earlier today, I spoke to Dee's mom. She agreed to let me pick her up from work. I spoke to Dee, took her to dinner, explained everything. She was happy. Apparently sister had told Jess she was meeting me, and Jess cornered her at school and told her I wouldn't want her in my life anymore. Davina was relieved to know it wasn't happening. She will be coming here tomorrow. Comment 1. It sounds to me like my sister and Jess have a lot of growing up to do. All this over a boy, because Dee wouldn't dump him cause Jess liked him? Shame on your sister for not setting Jess straight on this issue. The boyfriend is neither Dee's property nor something to just give away. Dee and boyfriend obviously like each other, and that's that. Sister sounds very immature, and Jess sounds very spoiled. Dee is lucky to have you as her stepmother. You made the right choice moving on from this toxic situation and the relatives involved. Have a great wedding. Comment 2. You're the idiot. Wow, just wow. It's clear that you have completely lost touch with reality and basic human decency. You are prioritizing your future husband's daughter over your own niece, who has clearly been going through a tough time. Instead of trying to understand and support Jess, you dismiss her feelings and belittle her by referring to Davina as more important. It's incredibly heartless. Your sister has expressed valid concerns about the well-being of her daughter, and instead of showing any empathy or attempting to address the situation, you stubbornly defend your selfish actions. It's clear that you only care about your own desires and have no regard for the emotional well-being of your niece. If you enjoyed today's video, you'll like these ones too. Thanks for watching and see you next time.